Skol Nation, stop right now. US Bank Stadium just erupted with breaking news, and the first number is already on the table. Pick number 18. 6 days from the NFL draft, one safety's name out of Oregon is exploding in Minneapolis. A $75 million Pro Bowl pass rusher might get traded during the draft itself, and a Giants defensive tackle entered the radar. But a former Viking is sending a clear warning to the front office. Here's your first payoff. Dylan Thieneman was ranked exactly 18th by one of the most respected draft analysts in the country, and the Vikings pick at number 18. Coincidence? Destiny? You decide. If you scream Skol louder than you breathe, smash like right now and strap on your helmet, because what comes next will reshape this entire offseason. Viking Nation is being tested, and the 2026 NFL Draft will tell us if this team is ready to hunt for the NFC North crown. Let's go. Whispers turned into footsteps, and those footsteps are getting louder by the hour. The 2026 NFL Draft kicks off on Thursday, April 23rd, and Minnesota holds pick number 18. But the real question Viking Nation is asking right now isn't just who's available. It's whether the perfect prospect will still be sitting on the board when that card gets turned in. The name? Dylan Thieneman. And here's why this connection is becoming impossible to ignore. Fan-sided draft analyst Mike Luciano just released his final big board of the top 50 prospects in this class, and Thieneman landed at number 18. Exactly where Minnesota picks. That's not a random number, that's a signal. Thieneman stands 6 feet tall and weighs 205 pounds, combining rare size, elite athleticism, and the kind of versatility that the league's best defenses are desperate to find at the safety position. He spent the 2025 season at Oregon as a true chameleon in the secondary, lining up at nickel, linebacker, and deep safety, sometimes all in the same game. Think about what that means for a defensive coordinator like Brian Flores, who builds his entire scheme around confusion, disguise, and the ability to put players in positions where offenses simply cannot predict what's coming. A player who can be 3 things at once is not just useful, he is dangerous. Luciano's evaluation was blunt and powerful. Thieneman will be a turnover generator in the pros, and his exceptional range paired with some bone-jarring tackles make him someone who will eventually be a respected leader on defense. That's not a role player, that's a cornerstone. And it gets better. Just days before the draft, ESPN's Mel Kiper, in his final mock draft of the year, projected Thieneman to land with the Vikings. Kiper doesn't throw darts in the dark. When the most recognizable name in draft media puts Thieneman in purple and gold in his closing projection, you pay attention. His projection lines up perfectly with Luciano's ranking, and together they paint a picture that is becoming harder and harder for anyone to dismiss. Do you think Thieneman is the pick at 18, or should the Vikings go a different direction? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If you believe Minnesota is about to land their safety of the future, smash that like and let the NFC North know Viking Nation is watching. But as electrifying as that story is, hold on, because the next one hits even harder. While the front office eyes the future through the draft, there's a Pro Bowl player already on the roster whose future in Minnesota is hanging by a thread. A $75 million edge rusher. A second-round pick as the asking price. And a locker room that's already bracing for the fallout. 3 years ago, Minnesota brought him in to change the pass rush. He delivered. But now, the math might not add up anymore. And a draft week trade could send a Pro Bowl defender out of US Bank Stadium before the first round even ends. The player? Jonathan Greenard. And here's what the insiders are saying. Judd Zulgad and Phil Mackey of Score North, 2 of the most connected Vikings voices in local media, both stated on April 15th that they expect Greenard trade talks to intensify heading into draft week. Mackey put it plainly, it's been real quiet for the last month on the Greenard front, but that does feel like something that's going to pop back up next week. Zulgad went further, explaining the dynamic perfectly. He might want more than teams want to pay him, which would cause a stalemate with the teams he's talking to. But it does seem like it's ripe for a draft week trade where a team decides, screw it. We need a guy who can get to the quarterback, and Greenard can absolutely do that. The numbers back it up. In his first season with Minnesota in 2024, Greenard was a Pro Bowler. 22 QB hits, 18 tackles for loss, and 12 sacks. The year before, he posted a career-high 12.5 sacks. Last season, a shoulder injury forced him to miss the final 5 games, and his production dipped. But his advanced metrics told a different story. 31st ranked edge defender out of 115 qualified players, according to Pro Football Focus, with 47 total pressures across only 270 pass rush snaps. That's efficiency. Now consider this. Greenard was generating pressure on over 17% of his pass rush snaps, even while playing through the effects of that shoulder issue. Healthy, fully recovered after off-season surgery, and motivated by a contract year mentality, a fully locked-in Jonathan Greenard is worth every penny of that $76 million deal. The problem isn't his talent, the problem is the price of keeping him. So why would Minnesota move him? Because he wants a significant raise on top of that contract, and the front office may simply not want to make that investment. Zulgad was direct. I think they take a second-round pick because I don't think they want to pay him. And here's the chess move hiding in plain sight. 2024 first-round pick Dallas Turner is waiting in the wings. Last season, Turner racked up 15 QB hits, 11 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles in a rotational role. The kid is ready. Teams like the Eagles, Panthers, Buccaneers, Bears, and Lions, yes, 2 division rivals, are all reportedly in play as potential destinations. Is trading Greenard the right call? Or does Minnesota need to keep him? Drop your hottest take below. If you think Turner is ready to take over as the starter, hit like and let the front office know Viking Nation trusts the plan. But hold tight, because while Greenard's future is uncertain, there's another defensive name circling Minneapolis, and a former Viking linebacker is raising his hand and saying, "Do not do this deal." The Giants are bleeding and the Vikings are watching. A Pro Bowl defensive tackle is now reportedly on the trade block, and Minnesota has been mentioned as a potential landing spot. But someone who wore purple knows exactly why this could be a trap. The name that set off the alarm? Dexter Lawrence II. On April 14th, NFL Network reported, citing sources, that the New York Giants and Lawrence have hit a complete standstill in contract extension negotiations. New York has already begun engaging with teams on a potential trade, and that process will continue right through draft week. From a pure football standpoint, this makes Viking Nation salivate. Minnesota lost both Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen this offseason, leaving a massive hole in the interior of the defensive line. Lawrence would fill that void instantly and make Brian Flores' defense even more vaunting up front. In 2025, Lawrence posted a 75.6 overall PFF defensive grade, 9th among 134 qualified interior defensive linemen. His 84.5 pass rush grade ranked 7th at the position. He generated 34 total pressures as a pass rusher, including 27 hurries, and recorded 22 solo tackles against the run. That is an elite player at the most physically demanding position on the defensive side of the ball. To put that in perspective, Lawrence disrupts offenses not just with sacks, but with his ability to collapse the pocket, force quarterbacks off their spots, and free up linebackers to make plays. His presence alone changes how opposing offensive coordinators call their games. That impact doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but every scout in the league knows it's real. But former Vikings linebacker Ben Lieber appeared on KFan on April 16th and delivered a message the front office needs to hear. Lieber was clear: "I don't think the Vikings are in a position to be spending equity right now or in the future." The messaging has been about acquiring as much talent as possible and creating as much competition as we can, really across the board. When you look at every position group, there isn't one I'd consider untouchable when it comes to the draft or free agency. That said, I don't see this team making splashy moves to go out and get someone like Dexter Lawrence, even though he'd be a great fit in this scheme. Lieber went further, outlining what he believes is the correct draft philosophy. Hold on to your assets, avoid big moves on draft day, and if anything, trade back to add more depth and competition. It's disciplined, it's calculated, and it might be exactly right. There's also another defensive name circling Minnesota. This is a rumor according to NFL insider Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, as the Indianapolis Colts slot corner Kenny Moore II has reportedly been linked to the Vikings as a potential trade target, with Breer citing Moore's versatility as a natural fit for how Brian Flores builds his defense. Do you think Minnesota should make a splash for Lawrence, or stay disciplined and trust the draft? Comment your take below. And if you believe Lieber is right, smash like, because smart football beats flashy football every single time. 3 stories, 1 seismic week. A safety ranked perfectly at 18, a $75 million pass rusher whose bags might be packed by draft night, and a warning shot fired over a blockbuster trade that could either fortify or fracture this defense. Minnesota isn't just preparing for a draft. Minnesota is standing at a crossroads, and every decision made in the next 6 days will echo through the 2026 season and beyond. Here's what this all means when you zoom out. If Dylan Thieneman lands at pick 18, the Vikings add a defensive chess piece who can line up everywhere Brian Flores wants him, a player who will grow into a leader and a tone setter for years to come. If Jonathan Greenard gets dealt for a second-round pick, Dallas Turner steps into a starting role he has earned through 2 seasons of dominant rotational work, and Minnesota adds ammunition to build even more depth. And if the front office listens to Ben Labor and resists the Lawrence temptation, they stay true to the philosophy that has guided this rebuild. Accumulate talent, build competition, and trust the process. The NFC North is not waiting. Detroit is hungry. Green Bay just cleared cap space. Chicago is building. Viking Nation, this is the moment where the front office separates itself from the pretenders. The 2026 draft is Minnesota's chance to build, not just patch holes. Here's what I need from Skull Nation right now. 1. Smash that like if you believe the Vikings are about to have the best draft in the NFC North and leave Green Bay in the dust. 2. Drop a comment with your boldest prediction. Does Thieneman go at 18? Does Greenard get traded on draft night? And does Minnesota stay away from Dexter Lawrence? Tell me everything. 3. Hit subscribe. Because every new subscriber sends a message to the Packers that Viking Nation is not sleeping, not slipping, and not stopping. But here's where the cliff drops. One source close to the situation says Greenard trade talks could explode in the next 48 hours, and the team offering a second-round pick may already have a deal framework on the table. If that happens before Thursday night, Minnesota walks into the first round with more capital and a clear path at 18. And on top of that, the Giants aren't the only team shopping a defensive star right now. There's a name, bigger, younger, and even more disruptive, that just quietly entered the trade conversation, and Minnesota is already on the call list. That story drops next. Skull Nation, the war room is open. The board is live. Subscribe, stay locked, and let's make the NFC North bleed purple. We ride together.